Yo, what's up, founders? It's ya boy Alex. So Burr's out here wilding again, acting like he's the main character, LMAO. I've been telling y'all he's a fake. Dude switches parties like he changes wigs. No loyalty, no vision, just bad vibes. I told Eliza not to worry. I might just aim high and let this man cool off. I'm sure he'll do the same. Tell Burr I said congrats. He finally made history as the guy who peaked by shooting me. Pathetic.
And there we have it. Good morning. Happy Freedom Friday. Welcome to the Wake Up America Show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. It's nice to see Barney Styles, BB for Liberty, Y2 Joe, Joni Rankin. Your name, last name, Guten Morgen. Yeah, welcome to Freedom Family Friday. And it wouldn't be a Freedom Family Friday without the fam. We got Steffi P for Liberty here with us, just barely though, just barely.
I woke up this morning. I've had a cold. Hazel's had a cold this week, and I woke up this morning and I couldn't talk, and I was like, oh my gosh. Because my voice is what I use for everything, for the show, for my therapy, for everything. So yeah. But I'm lubricating. I think that's probably the most important.
Absolutely it is. Relaxing McGroin here says, my fave day of the week. So long. What's up, Grizz Cheese, Drew Van Runkle, Quest Fanning, all hanging out here in the chat. Nice to see you guys. Nice to see you guys. Welcome to the show. Justin Peterson will be with us today. Yes.
He is not sick.
So. Oh, we don't know. Hopefully. Founding Father Social Media is Nuts. Yeah, that was another one created by your boy AP.
I know. So did he really did he really make the dual request at a dinner?
No, I have no idea about that. I just thought it would be funny to show him with...
I was like, oh my God, that's so funny.
No, I just thought it would be cool to show him hanging out at a dinner with a bunch of chicks from the 1700s.
I'm sure he got a lot of ladies.
Yeah, I mean, back then it was a lot easier to hide your infidelity. He was married, and he was shot by Aaron Burr in Weehawken on a foggy morning, they said.
And he died.
Yeah. Alexander Hamilton died after being shot by Aaron Burr. So I think, depending on how well it goes, the first video that I made was George Washington crossing the Delaware. This one was Aaron Burr shooting Alexander Hamilton. And I'm going to keep making those kind of vlog style Founding Fathers videos just to kind of try and share American history with people in a way that I think people might like.
Right.
Because some of the more, some of the newer AI tools that are available allows me to do that. But it is super expensive to make those videos.
Really?
Yeah, they're ultra premium to make those kinds of videos. So
that's like bonus content.
It kind of is. But we do have fresh new bonus content today.
Oh my God, they got double bonus content. They got this video and then the other one.
Yeah, so we are pumping out the hot, sweet, fresh content like crazy over here at the For Liberty Network. I saw Daniela last night was killing it, and so were the Liberty Tonight boys on the For Liberty Network, and tonight's for Freedom Arcade.
Yes, we'll see how my voice does.
Yeah, we'll see how you do. Hopefully you'll be able to join us tonight at 8 p.m. Central. We're gonna have
somebody already bought something. Oh my gosh.
BB for Liberty. He wants that I'm just here to bang shirt.
Of course he would.
He loves
only for your wife, BB. Only for your wife.
That's right. BB for Liberty. He's helping unlock the bonus content because if we hit $75 raised by the end of the show, they'll get to see the bonus content,
right,
which is a 5-minute mini documentary. So if you guys want to see that, keep those Rumble rants coming in and go to forlibertyshop.com. And if you want that I'm just here to bang shirt, it's 50% off over at the shop.
I made it myself.
Yes. And we have a Rand Paul Thomas Massey for President shirt.
Yes.
Yeah, because, and boy, are they going to need it more than ever because the president is coming after Thomas Massey hard. Take a look.
What happened to Thomas Massey? President Trump is banning sex changes on minors. Massey voted against it. President Trump is cutting taxes and saving Kentucky families $10,000. Massey voted against it. President Trump is securing our border and deporting criminal aliens. Massey voted against Trump again. And after Trump obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program, Massey sided with Democrats and the Ayatollah. Let's fire Thomas Massey. MAGA Kentucky is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Fire Thomas Massey. Boo.
I mean, I'm sure he voted against these things for good reason.
Of course.
That was probably just like one part of the bill. But there were probably so many other parts of the bill.
Oh, yeah. They call it a poison pill. And there's stuff in there that is obviously unconstitutional. They increase spending. You can, because bills are so massive, whenever it's an omnibus bill, if it has, here's the thing, and Congress doesn't read them. They're like 2,000 pages long, these omnibus bills, many of them. And then they'll have something in there that you can have 99% of things that you agree with. But if it has 1% of things like funding sex changes for minors or whatever, you have to vote against it to stop that. But then, you voted against...
Well, he voted for... Well, he wants sex changes for minors.
Who does?
He does. Thomas Massey.
He does not want sex changes for minors.
But he voted that he would be...
No, he didn't. It may have been that it was a piece of legislation that contained that, right? But it probably contained... It was probably that one thing was good in it, and then everything else was shit. Because again, 2,000 pages long, the congressmen aren't reading the bills. Thomas Massey does read the bills.
Right.
He's such a nerd. He'll actually sit there and read all the papers. Yeah, but nobody else in Congress does. So I'm not buying these attack ads because I know how the legislative process actually works. The dirty, dirty sausage that they're making. So,
I really hope they don't kick him out.
Yeah. See, Drew Van Runkle says the ad worked on Steffi. Damn it. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there who...
There's a lot of people who are way more stupid than I am.
Yes, and their names are Zohran Mamdani. Boo.
I mean, even Zohran, he sounds tempting in terms of what he's selling. He's like free childcare, free grocery stores, free everything.
Free everything.
And it's like, in this economy, it'd be great to have free everything.
Wouldn't everything be free? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've proposed is that we raise $10 billion to pay for our entire economic agenda and start to Trump-proof our city, because we know he'll use federal funding as leverage over this city. And we will do so in two key ways. The first is to match the state's top corporate tax rate to that of New Jersey. We are at 7.25%. They're at 11.5%. Corporations can pay it over there. They can pay it over here. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't just apply to corporations headquartered in New York City. Because when you say this, people will say, well, they're going to go to Florida. Mm-hmm. Wherever you are headquartered, as long as you do business in the state of New York, you are taxable for that corporate tax. We're talking about corporations that are making millions of dollars, not in revenue, but in profit. And the second is taxing the top 1% of New Yorkers. We're talking about people who make $1 million a year or more, taxing them just by a flat 2% tax increase. And I know if 50 Cent is listening, he's not going to be happy about this. Mm-hmm. He tends to not like this tax policy, but I want to be very clear. This is about $20,000 a year. It's a rounding error. And all of these things together, they make every New Yorker's life better, including those who are actually getting taxed.
Okay, yeah. So 50 Cent...
It makes your life better when you're getting taxed.
Yeah, so 50 Cent, because you get the free grocery stores. So
yeah, sure, 50 Cent is going to be going to the grocery store.
50 Cent actually fired back and offered him $283,000 to leave New York City and to quit the mayoral run, which is obviously... the worst offer I've ever heard. Such a low ball.
Yeah, that's not a lot of money at all.
Democrats have officially jumped the shark, poured gasoline on the shark, set it on fire, and now they're riding it bareback down Fifth Avenue because they just handed the keys to the largest city in America to a 33-year-old Democratic socialist whose campaign platform reads like a rejected Bernie Sanders fanfic.
And it's like, what does he mean? This is a rounding error. It's like, it's about $20,000. It's a rounding error. Like, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah. Zohran Mamdani wants to empty the jails.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence at the highest degree. We have oftentimes
there you go. So,
I mean, if you stole a package from my porch, I would
consider that an act of violence.
That's not good.
I would consider burglary to be a violent act.
And if you came into my house, if there's a housing unit next door or something.
Any kind of act that may legitimize a physical altercation between myself and yourself that you were to engage in, initiate, would be an act of violence. So Mamdani is kind of like what you would get if Bernie Sanders and Rashida Tlaib had a baby at a Columbia University seminar on colonial oppression. Right? He's kind of the woke left's dreamboat. defund the police, tax the rich, abolish ICE, government-run grocery stores, and maybe arrest Netanyahu for war crimes as well. So this guy said that the NYPD is racist, he's going to be charged of, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. That's his policy. So imagine what they're going to look like when the rats have formed their own union in New York City, the pizza rats.
He's going to have like transgender policemen on the street.
But they'll all be social workers. So they want to get rid of the police and have people like you. Really? Whenever there's a violent altercation, whenever
I heard something about that. I heard you talking about it. But
whenever there's a theft in the city, instead, because it's not a violent act, they're going to send you. Can you imagine if you got the call, if you lived in New York City, and there was a robbery reported, and instead of calling the police, they call you to go out and respond to it, Stephanie? What would you do?
I would bring a gun. I mean, I know that social workers do come out when like big catastrophes happen, but they come out with the police. It's like they just like help debrief the people about what happened and like calm them down. So social workers do work a lot in alignment with police. Or like, child protective services, obviously, like they come out to a home and remove children. But usually the police is there to protect you. So social workers aren't usually like alone if there's something really bad happening.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this guy's background. He was born to an Oscar-nominated filmmaker mother and a Columbia professor dad who teaches post-colonial studies, which is academic code for Why America Sucks 101, post-colonial studies.
And he's only been a citizen for 7 years, right?
Yes. And he allegedly also lied on his immigration form. We'll get to that later. John Rail says, Merry Friday, MSAP and Steffi. Feel better swiftly, Steffi. And he donated $5. Thanks, bud.
I feel a lot better than I sound. I feel like I sound like RFK Jr.
Let me do it on my RFK Jr. Let's talk about his background. Born to an Oscar-nominated filmmaker mother. I think that's pretty good, honestly. I feel like it sounds just like him.
Luckily, I don't sound as terrible.
I had a cousin who had that dysphonia. So I remember when he finally lost his voice when we were pretty young and stuff, and I was just like, wow, that is an awful way to sound. It was really rough.
It's so embarrassing.
It's hard to hear. Quest Fanning says, get him, Steffi. He donated a couple bucks. So we've raised...
Thank you.
We've raised like $28 towards the $75 bonus content goal, guys. Thank you very much. So Zohran, he grew up bouncing between New York and South Africa. And his biggest struggle appears to be deciding whether to be a hot dog vendor or a sanitation worker. Now he's going to run the city that never sleeps. Good luck getting your trash picked up after this guy freezes the sanitation budget to fund a TikTok studio in the Bronx. So
he was going to be a hot dog worker?
I'm just teasing.
Oh, okay. I was like... So,
his parents would never allow that.
So you said he went between South Africa and America?
Yes.
So he wasn't really in India or Pakistan?
Yeah, so it's his ancestry, right? So we're getting to all this, kind of his background here. So his campaign slogans are things like globalize the intifada and tax the rich. 50 cents, 50 cents is trying to buy him a one-way ticket out of the city at $280,000 trying to get him out. So when even 50 cents, I think, thinks your tax plan is too aggressive, maybe you're not the hero that Gotham needs. So,
right.
And this is the news story today. This is the breaking news headline. Listen to this. So the Democrat establishment apparently is panicking because they're worried about what's going to happen to their national brand, because they've been for the longest time trying to say we're not socialists, we're not insane. And now Zohran is going to prove them wrong. Cuomo lost, and all of the Democratic establishment had supported Cuomo, even Bill Clinton.
Right.
They spent millions and millions of dollars trying to beat Mamdani, and all Mamdani had to do was light some sage and do a few TikToks, and he still won, right? Steelbringer says, if that guy is a libertarian, then I'm a quantum fusionist. I
mean, the promises that he's making sound really good to most of New York, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and it's like when you're struggling, you get desperate. You want to reduce your costs if you can. And so he's basically handing it to these people.
So the Democrats are kind of having an existential crisis over this. And they have a Democratic strategist who was calling the Democrat establishment trying to stop their socialist leftist base. They compared it to Pickett's charge. Do you know what Pickett's charge is, Stephanie? Mm-mm. So during the Civil War, in the final day of the Battle of Gettysburg, the Confederates mounted this pointless, totally ridiculous charge. It was led by Colonel Pickett. And Pickett marched his soldiers, the Confederates, across this big, wide open field that was just, they were cannon fodder. They just got destroyed on this big march across the field. So a Pickett's charge is a reference to a pointless, bloody, battle that is completely one-sided.
Okay.
So that they're comparing the Democrat establishment trying to stop Zohran Mamdani with Cuomo as a Pickett's charge moment here. So, and they're not going to quit. The Democratic establishment is not going to lay over. Some of them are going to get on board because they see like AOC and Zohran Mamdani as kind of the hot new thing. And they're going to think, this is the future of the party. But the Democratic establishment is not going to just give up power. They're not just going to roll over and let themselves be taken over by, they'll fight it. They'll fight it. And it'll be interesting to see if they get behind the independent campaign, like you were talking about yesterday, of Eric Adams. Yeah. We've pulled this clip or this policy from Zohran's website here. This is one of his policies here. Take a listen to this. He wants to shift the Zohran Mamdani administration will shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes and in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Stephanie?
That sounds like reverse racism.
That's not even reverse racism. That's just literal racism.
Right. Oh, my goodness. He hates the white man.
They hate white people. That's correct. His father, who's a university teacher at Columbia. Columbia is like the stem of anti-white racism. It's like the spine of anti-white racism. And his father's teaching post-colonialism again is about racism against whites. It's like the foundation of the 1619 Project, etc. But can you imagine if you had a white politician in Missouri who says we're going to shift the burden of overtaxed homeowners in our white neighborhoods to the black neighborhoods?
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine what the response to that would be? It'd be an international scandal.
That wouldn't go over anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
White privilege.
They're literally saying they're going to tax white people.
Yeah. And a lot of white people would agree.
Yeah.
They'd be like, I have white privilege.
Well, they clearly did.
I feel bad.
No, they clearly did agree because it was the college educated white female liberal women. They were the ones who voted for them. The poorest of the classes of the voters, they voted for Andrew Cuomo.
Really?
Yeah. It was the college educated who voted for Mamdani. And it was the lower strata of the economic spheres who voted for Cuomo.
It probably helps that he's a handsome man because he's in his early 30s. Mm-hmm. These women probably want to get in bed with him.
Yeah, he's got a lot of women are talking about his wife too, and they're
he's
fawning
married?
over her. Yeah, they're fawning over her.
Okay.
So
I wonder if she's pretty.
It depends. Like,
is she white?
No. I mean, who knows? Who cares? But I mean, look, you know what? I'll do me a favor. Type in Zohran Mamdani wife into that search. While we talk about this, yeah. So when he was 6 years old, Zohran apparently said that he was the color mustard when he was asked about his race. Okay, there she is. Pulling it up right now. So yeah, so the left is already fawning over here. They're saying, sorry not to be basic, but Zoran's wife might be one of the prettiest women I've ever seen. Wow. And the fact they took photos on the subway is awesome. There she is. So, I mean, it's a type.
I mean, she's really, she's like a pretty foreign woman.
Yeah.
I could see her being sexy. Like, she probably wears all kinds of lingerie and stuff.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, she's like sweet. She's like a little chihuahua. She's cute.
Oh my God. Yeah, women love Ted Bundy too, says Justin. That's why we can't wait to get him on at 8. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, women love Ted Bundy too. Is a great comment. Look at this one. There we go.
She's very retro looking.
Yeah, I mean, she's got that. She's got the New York City look down.
Yeah,
right? She's got it. That's what the women look like in New York City. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson, and we have raised, looks like $40 now towards the $75 goal. That's pretty good.
That was quick.
Once we hit $75, you'll unlock today's bonus content, and you'll get to watch our little mini documentary instead of commercials when we go to Justin Peterson. You got half an hour to do so. I think you'll do it. Let's do it. Support the Wake Up America show and our Freedom Platform. That's the For Liberty Network. When you make a donation, you support our Freedom family, and you help us to do things like produce more content, like the content that you saw earlier, like our Alexander Hamilton video and our George Washington video. And you get to have fun and watch funny videos like these on Friday mornings.
Say something homophobic or racist like in your past. Come out.
If you were a man, I would knock your teeth out.
Well, Rocker's remarks on our show back in November may have outraged Met fans. It was the comments he made to Sports Illustrated writer Jeff Pearlman that caused a national outcry. Quote, imagine having to take the number 7 train to the ballpark, looking like you're riding through Beirut next to some kid with purple hair. It's depressing. And about New York City itself, Rocker said, the biggest thing I don't like about New York are the foreigners. I'm not a very big fan of foreigners.
As a baseball player, he was talking about New York. He said if you ride the subway train, it feels like you're riding through Beirut. He's like, the thing I don't like about New York is the foreigners.
I believe it. It's probably changed a lot since you were there.
I mean, it has and it hasn't. When you look at the numbers of immigrants in the city, actually a lot have moved out of the city since like the early 1900s. It was way more in terms of percentages, but of course the population was much lower too overall. But they're talking about a lot of people moving out, going to Florida. And Ron DeSantis is saying, yeah, welcome. But I'm hearing some people are saying that they need to have a importation tax. If you come from New York City and you move to Florida, they need to tax them. Because here's my fear, and I'll tell you, and I wonder what you'll think of this. Maybe Justin will comment on it later. My fear is that there's going to be a lot of left-leaning Democrat voters who are going to be turned off by this far-left rhetoric, are going to move out of the city, and then they're going to move to our red states, and they're going to vote Democrat in our red states because they haven't learned their goddamn lessons. So you know what? I'm actually kind of tempted by the concept of a blue state tax, that if you come here, or maybe you have to like forego voting for like 3 to 5 years or something like that in the new state. Because again, like for example, you see a lot of Jewish Democrats who don't like his rhetoric on Israel, who are left on every other issue. They vote Democrat on every other issue, but the one thing that triggers them is the Israel question.
Sure.
So they leave, they go to Florida, and then they'll vote Democrat in Florida.
Yeah.
Rather than Republican, because that's the only issue that they cared about for whatever reason, right? So they leave New York and they go to Florida and they vote Democrat in Florida, and they make Florida a worse place. So some kind of embargo, some kind of disenfranchisement for 3 to 5 years. I'm not saying it needs to happen, but I'm saying that it needs to be on the table, right? If you're, as Y2 Joe says, do not come to North Carolina. We're full. Exactly. Missouri, full.
Yeah, that's hard because they always say, like, vote with your feet. If you don't like what's happening in your state, go somewhere else. So I believe in states' rights, every state, having its own, its own independence. But yeah, that's true. If a whole busload of Democrats comes to a red state, it's probably not going to end well.
So, I mean, here's the real question. Do you want freedom or do you want free stuff? Because Zohran Mamdani, he's kind of a utopian, right? He thinks that he can offer us a perfect world where everything is free, of course, except for the ability to arm yourself. All guns are banned under Zohran, except for the ones that protect him. What? But all guns are banned, of course, under Zohran Mamdani, of course.
Well, guns are already you can't have them, right?
You can. It's just the process is egregious. John Stossel actually did a video on this like 10 years ago where he tried to go through the process of getting a firearm in New York City, and he's like one of the most famous people in New York. Right. Everybody knows him. Everybody knows he's not going to go on some mass killing spree, and even he couldn't get a permit in New York City. I think Donald Trump is actually one of the only people who have a carry permit in New York City.
Wow.
He's one of the only people who could get it.
I do wonder what will happen to Donald in New York City.
Well, he moved out.
Really
so he moved out, and he's already talking smack on him, calling him a communist wacko, and saying, and Trump has fully matriculated to Florida. So he's now a Florida resident, Florida voter.
Well, like that Mamdani guy said, though, if you do any business in New York City, even if your headquarters is somewhere else, you're still taxed. So hopefully Trump is not doing business in New York.
Well, he is, because you have to be. And that's the thing. That's why a lot of people aren't willing to say, let's just turn it over to the socialists, because they know that this is the financial capital of the world. It is our greatest city. And despite its flaws, the United States should not surrender territory to our enemies. Was matriculated the right word? I don't know.
I don't even know what that means.
I think it was. Moved. I thought matriculated was moved down, like moved to enroll. Oh, okay, yeah. So he enrolled as a voter, I guess, on the voter rolls. So it works. Okay, it works.
Did somebody nitpick your word?
Somebody asked matriculate, but
wow. Geez, somebody is really smart in
Super Stitch, yes. But
Jeez.
I was right, to enroll, but especially in like a college or a university. But I was talking about voter rolls. So he matriculated in Florida and became a voter in Florida. So yes. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. We're glad and thankful to have you here.
Hello.
Make sure you click the like button if you haven't already. Become a regular guest of the Wake Up America show. It's every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time here on the show. We'd be glad to have you be a regular guest. You can also send us a text at 573-319-1586. That's the text line. 573-319-1586, the text line. Go ahead and join us on Monday by clicking the follow button before you leave the show today. You'll get a notification on your Rumble app, which will tell you whenever we are live, and you can come and join us again 5 days a week. And Fridays are special. We have Freedom Family Friday. That's my smoking hot redheaded libertarian wife Steffi over there. Yes,
I have my Make Taxation Theft Again mug. I actually made this during your Senate campaign.
Where can you get that lovely mug, Steffi?
You can still get the OG mugs at forlibertyshop.com.
That's the number 4.
I've had it for years. Like, I protect this thing. I'm like really careful with it. I will not let anything happen to it. It's very special.
Get them at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number, forlibertyshop.com. And if we hit $75 raised either in Rumble Rants or in purchases at forlibertyshop.com, then you will unlock today's mini documentary, our bonus content. Let's get it done, guys. We got Justin joining us here about 25 minutes from now. You'll get to watch.
It's going by fast.
Yeah, you'll get to watch the bonus content instead of commercials, which is way more fun. So drop a tip in the tip jar there on rumble.com or go to forlibertyshop.com. If you're on any of the other platforms and you can't donate free money, then you can go to the shop, and purchases that happen during the 2-hour live stream will unlock that bonus content.
And I would hope that you would not be okay with that. They could literally put out a lie about anybody here. And I know you've been the victim of that. I know you've been the victim. I remember the stories about you where they said you had a gay lover, and those were going on.
Mr. Chairman.
Can
I hope you honor what you just gave as a caution to everyone, and I moved those words.
To tell you that those kind of lies, and you said those were lies, those kind of lies could be broadcast today on VOA, and you couldn't pick up the phone, Representative Stanton, and call them and say, hey, you're putting out lies about me. You would not be able to do that because they would sue you for breaking the firewall.
Dude, okay. You're wondering what the hell just happened.
What
okay.
does a gay lover have to do with anything? That's none of our business.
Let me tell you why I love this story. Okay. This is Carrie Lake. She's a political appointee. She's a special advisor to the U.S. Agency for Global Media, of which Voice of America is a part. So she offered this rationale for axing Voice of America. She suggested that that they had aired fake stories about Congressman Greg Stanton there that she's talking to as him having a gay lover. Okay, so now that is being disputed. But here's the thing. Let me ask you a question, Stephanie. I want you to hear how the congressman reacted to her accusation, and then I'm going to ask you another question. I want you to listen. Hold on. I want you to listen to this.
Where they said you had a gay lover, and those were going
Mr. Chairman.
Now, that was Greg Stanton.
I hope you honor what you just gave as a caution to everyone, and I moved those words
to tell you
No.
What does that even mean?
Okay, so what does what mean?
What he's saying?
He said, I moved that the words be struck from the record. So he's saying like that from the public record, because everything they're saying there goes into the archives.
He sounds like someone who has a gay lover.
That's what I don't even have to ask the question.
Yeah, his voice.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
But again, who cares?
Mr. Chairman. Now, she missed an opportunity there for an epic moment. She could have quoted Seinfeld and said, not that there's anything wrong with that, because that would have been, and if she'd done that, it would have been epic.
But like, why does it matter if he's gay or not?
Mr. Chairman, I move that this be struck from the record. My brother Justin, he'll be joining us soon. I bet he can't wait to comment on that. Says, methinks the lady doth protest too much. Yes. Mr. Chair, wait, one more time, guys. One more time.
Where they said you had a gay lover, and those were going
Mr. Chairman.
I
hope you honor what you just gave as a caution to everyone, and I moved those words
to tell you that
Mr. Chairman swishes hips, says Arvolt24.
Oh, how embarrassing.
Is the Wake Up America show, is the content that you're getting here that's live streaming? My wife has laryngitis. My brother on standby in Boston. We've got the funniest clips. Is this not the best show that you can watch at this time in the mornings, 5 days a week? If you haven't clicked the like button because you're just so too disengaged to help out the Wake Up America show, what are you even doing here? We're working our butts off for you, bringing you the absolute best content. And you can't click the like button. I judge. I'm going to give you the Bernie Sanders finger. Steffi, for the people who haven't liked the stream yet, who haven't done just the bare minimum of liking the stream, give them the Bernie Sanders waggy finger, Steffi. Give them the Bernie Sanders waggy finger. Here we go. The Bernie Sanders waggy finger.
It has to look crooked.
Yeah, it has to be kind of
like
crooked.
You have arthritis.
Yes, we're giving you the Bernie Sanders waggy finger. If you haven't even had the common decency to click the like button yet, click that damn like button. Don't you want to give us 3 houses in Vermont and a summer camp in Vermont? Justin will join us here in 20 minutes. That bonus content is well on its way to being unlocked. We have raised $40 towards the $75 bonus goal. Somebody should just say, hey, screw it. I'm just going to donate $35 in Rumble right now. Just do it. Do it. Just do it. And don't call me gay. I'm not gay. Pete Hegseth, definitely not gay.
Again, before I pass it to the chairman, because you, and I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard, it's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump, because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented him isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it. Spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful.
Yeah, so CNN, there's a leaker who somebody is leaking national security secrets to the press, to CNN.
Uh-oh.
And Hegseth is calling him out there because CNN is reporting on sensitive national security briefing, the information that should not be revealed to the public. And of course they spin it and say that the administration is failing. Hegseth is responding to this. So he's kind of like lashing out at the media.
Well, hopefully they actually got the targets.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we don't know yet. You know, and it's going to be tough. CNN has already reported that it's not going, that they did not get the targets, but we're still waiting on confirmation of that. Wow. If you drop a Rumble rant into the Wake Up America show and we're still live next year because you decided to do so, then here's some good news for people like us and if you drive a DoorDasher.
Among the countless citizens who will benefit from these tax cuts is Malachi Krzyzewski, a devoted mom and DoorDash driver from Ripon, Wisconsin, who uses her tip income to support her son, to think of that, no tax on tips. And it was a very big problem. I was at a dinner in my beautiful building in Las Vegas, and unrelated to this, and I said, what's going on? I will never say good-looking waitress, because looks don't matter anymore, in our modern society. She happened to be beautiful, but I won't say that. I won't mention that. But nevertheless, a waitress came over, and I said, how are you doing? She said, not good, sir. Why? The government is killing me on tips. And she looked at me, she said, sir, there should be no tax on tips. I said, say it again. There should be no tax on tips. I said, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. I walked outside. The press was there, as always, waiting for something bad to happen, hundreds of them. I said, ladies and gentlemen, please announce tonight there will be no tax on tips. And a legend was made. We won Nevada by so much. Republicans don't win Nevada. We won Nevada. So I want to thank that young...
You know what's funny is that the no tax on tips thing, that was Ron Paul's idea. Can we get a...
Oh, I remember.
Remember Ron
like
Paul?
You're supposed to just leave like money, and then like what was it? You write something on your receipt.
Mm-hmm.
Like what do you write? Like taxation is theft on your receipt, and then you just leave money rather than put it on your credit card.
Yep. So no, I love that he brought up the DoorDasher there and was talking about waitresses. He says he couldn't say that she's good looking. Because you can't say that anymore, which he says. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's classic Trump.
Yeah, his wife is probably used to that already. He probably talks about other women all the time.
Arvolt24 says Ron Paul is the waitress in LV.
Do you see that man in the background? It looks like he has like paint on his face.
He's got that disease that Michael Jackson. Yeah, vitiligo.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
That was the disease that Michael Jackson had.
Yeah,
that made him look white. So people, like when black people have that, they lose the pigmentation in their skin.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's sad in the transitionary phase. I don't know if there's any other secondary effects other than what happens in the skin.
Right.
But I mean, if they're lucky enough to have it, completely burned through, in a sense, then it's gone, and you don't have the pigment in your skin.
And then you can be white, and then you can be taxed in New York City. Look at that. What about? Is there an exception for people with vitiligo?
No. If you're black and then you have vitiligo, you're grandfathered in. You don't have to pay taxes in Zohran Mamdani's New York City.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Michael Jackson. Would he have been taxed in New York City?
Yeah.
He was whiter than I am.
The full-on freak out by the establishment is entirely predictable, says Liz Smith, a longtime Democratic operative. She used to work for Cuomo, but she's since become a critic. She says that the establishment does no introspection or soul-searching, and instead they just lash out. They're talking about Cuomo. This is an outcome of their own creation. If you don't want to lose to a socialist, don't run a fatally flawed candidate like Andrew Cuomo. Yeah, they're right. They're true. It's true. If they had a better candidate than Andrew Cuomo running against him in the primary, they might have had a shot against Zohran Mamdani. But they ran Andrew Cuomo, who was very unpopular for what he did during the pandemic. He got run out of office last time for inappropriate things that he said to his staff. And then he ran again trying to hope for a comeback, and he just got beat. He got beat by free food at grocery stores. So
Larry Sharp needs to come out.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. Because right now, they're talking about Eric Adams as an independent, but there is a Republican candidate. There is a Republican candidate. His name's Curtis, and is it Silwa or Sliwa? Because sometimes I see it printed both ways. But he's this famous Republican in New York. He founded this group called the Guardian Angels. And back in the 80s, when New York was really dangerous compared even to today, they would walk the streets to keep people safe, to help fight crime, and that's who Curtis Sliwa is. And so he's running as a Republican. But the fear is that if Curtis Sliwa and Eric Adams are both running, then they'll eat into each other, into the anti-Zohran Mamdani vote. So there's calls to drop out on both sides.
Right.
So Eric Adams, people want Curtis Sliwa to drop out, and Curtis Sliwa wants Eric Adams to drop out. And honestly, the problem with Curtis Sliwa is, as much as I like him and I think he's a good dude, Republicans don't win in New York City.
Yeah.
And also, Curtis Sliwa has run many, many times and has never won. And after a while, and this is another reason why, after I lost twice, I quit running for office immediately, because you don't want to continue a losing streak, right? You want to stop, right? And because if you do decide to run for office again in the future, you've got to come back at it from a different angle. But if you consistently keep running your head against the wall, you become known as the person who loses elections, and it's poison, and people just won't vote for you based on that, and they won't support you. So,
although Abraham Lincoln, he lost a bunch of times before he actually won.
Yes, yes.
I mean, there's a chance.
Curtis Sliwa. Is it Sliwa, E-Sound? Somebody, the Guardian Angels. Fix it for me. What is it? Is it Sliwa?
Oh, yeah,
Sliwa?
Quest Fanning.
Yeah, Quest
He's
ought to
in New
know.
York.
Yeah, I mean,
oh, God.
Every New Yorker knows him. The problem is that it's not like Donald Trump where you have 100% name recognition and a rabid fan base. Curtis Sliwa does not have a rabid fan base. Everybody knows him, but everybody knows they're not going to vote for him.
But this guy, he's only going to be the mayor of New York City. So someone like Quest, who's in Brooklyn, is that New York City?
Yes.
Oh, that's still...
Yeah, all the boroughs. All the boroughs.
Oh, gosh.
So you're
Sorry,
Queens.
Quest.
That's okay. Queens, Bronx, Manhattan.
Okay. Because I was thinking outside of the city, the people are fine. They'll have their own mayor.
No, like
people in upstate New York, that won't be their mayor.
Correct. People in upstate New York, that will not be their mayor. Only New York City.
Right.
Zohran Mamdani, but it's the jewel of New York. It's the financial capital of the world. They don't want it to. They don't want to surrender it to someone who's going to bring down the quality of life.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, guys. NYC needs Curtis, says Arville. He's on the Curtis train. Joni Rankin says, never say never, Austin. I don't want to never say never, but Lincoln's friends kept pushing him to run for offices, says Steelbringer. Quest Fanning says with an E sound. So Sliwa or I guess it's Sliwa. So
we need to ask Google.
Yeah, we need to say. So it's Sliwa, but I think it's spelled as Silwa, even though it's Sliwa.
Mayor.
Why does that have to be so confusing? Brooklyn was incorporated into New York City in 1904, says Quest.
Let's see how to pronounce Sliwa. It's Sliwa.
So it is Sliwa. Okay, there we go. Because maybe it's just people have misspelled it enough times. It's like people spell my last name Peter Son. After a while, if you see it enough times that way, then you'll think, oh, that's it. But
let's see. I'm looking up how to pronounce it.
I had the oddest.
Oh.
Say it again.
Is he Indian?
No, say it again.
Curtis Sliwa.
It is Sliwa.
Curtis Sliwa.
Sliwa.
It sounds like a man from Pakistan.
Who is your assistant that you have there? What is it set to? Is it Zohran Mamdani? Is your
YouTube?
Oh, YouTube. Okay, yeah, there we go. I had the oddest post go viral yesterday. I just thought it would be interesting for people to see. I've gained a lot of new followers lately. There's a lot of people who have no idea who I am, Stephanie. So I posted this yesterday, not thinking much about it.
Yeah.
Just thinking, I'll get to introduce people to who I am. And for some reason, people really enjoyed it. It was just an introduction post, just who I am, what my background is.
Because we have different generations of Team Liberty fans.
Yeah.
So it's like we started all the way back in the Freedom Ninja Army. That was like your OG.
Oh, dude, it goes even back farther than that.
Yeah, that was like before my time. So what was it before Freedom Ninja Army?
I would say that like my fan base kind of started back in 2010 to 12.
Okay.
When I went to work for Fox.
Yeah.
And then when I left Fox, it started then. And then when I left Fox, somebody else started like my Facebook page for me, and I just got lucky and got verified before you could do that automatically. Because back then the social media had to decide who was relevant, whoever owned it. So you didn't get a blue check mark by paying for it and showing your ID.
Right.
They would give it to you if they had confirmed that you were someone. So before I ever ran for office. And so it started back then. So there are some people who watched Freedom Watch, knew who I was then, have been a fan ever since then, or still around since then. And then there are other people who are like, oh, I found out about you when I ran for president or
Senate.
Or for the U.S. Senate.
And then there's the people from KWOS, the radio.
Local people
and then
like
there's
Andy
people
Opperman.
From Wake Up America show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like every new adventure you have, you bring new people on.
Mm-hmm. And boy, have I had adventures. I once raffled off an AR-15 on Facebook and I got banned for it. And that kind of made me for some whatever reason.
Did we announce who got that? Because I think I don't remember.
Who. I don't remember who it is. Do you?
Am I allowed to say?
Yeah, you can say.
Oh, is it Matt Unruh?
Oh, no. Matt Unruh won an AK-47 that I gave for the Wake Up America show.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I got him. He won an AK-47 in 9mm because I was pissed about Joe Biden had done some kind of executive order on guns.
Yeah.
So I just announced a giveaway raffle for an AK-47, but it was in 9mm, which I actually like 9mm because it's so ubiquitous. It's cheaper than the 7.62 rounds that it normally takes. But even though the ballistics are different. So, but, and a lot of people knew I did run for president as a libertarian and I raised hell. I was also the first person in history to receive a single time donation of $180,000 in Bitcoin.
Which you couldn't accept.
Which I had to return. Womp womp. Because it's illegal to accept campaign donations that large. Of course, my competitors, they can all accept that kind of money in different ways, right? But you can't accept it directly. But I was actually the first person to receive a double max donation in crypto. So I think it was like $4,800 was the double max at the time.
Yep.
Somebody donated that in Bitcoin. A different person then tried to give me $180,000.
I don't think you even know who that person is who tried to give you $180,000.
Can you imagine? I've never been able to find out who that person was. Because since it rejected their information automatically, it didn't capture under their data. What I should have done is and this is the importance of design, website design people, is that you have to capture all of their information first and then make them go to the second page where they actually check out because you'll already know who they are and have their information captured. So if you ever run for office, guys, and you decide to accept donations, if somebody decides to give you $150,000 on accident, you'll at least be able to know who they are by good website design. So that was something. It was a little historic footnote there. Also, of course, the Wake Up America show, 5 days a week, and our powerful memes. Last year, I got a little famous in Argentina after Javier Milei was elected, and I made his merchandise with his likeness. It blew up. It was on TV down there, and Javier Milei even showed it in a video of him hanging out with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, which was pretty cool. For those of you who don't know, some of my hobbies include smoking meats like Mark Zuckerberg, starting podcast networks like the For Liberty Network, drinking Jeffersonian Java, mocking authoritarians, hell yes, teaching karate in my small town, video games. I'm playing Warzone tonight at 8 p.m. right here on Rumble and reminding people that taxation is theft. And of course, sometimes I'm not sure where I fit in politically. Libertarian is the closest to what I believe, but mostly I'm kind of a free thinker, and I just feel like I deserve the dignity of being treated like an adult and being in charge of my own destiny and not being treated like a redheaded stepchild to a paternalistic government. Not that there's anything wrong with being a redhead.
Oops.
So now you know, and knowing's half the battle. So we are $35 away from unlocking the bonus content. So that means you guys get
we
commercials.
didn't actually say that we have a 50% off sale on that. I just came here to bang shirt. So it's 50% off. So it's bang, BANG 50. So if you buy it, go to forlibertyshop.com and it's I'm just here to bang. And then use code BANG, BANG 50, and you can get it.
There we go. We got the redhead, the curly-haired redhead. I think Brad made this one yesterday.
Yeah.
We got the redhead with the Jew fro going on right there with the super tight curls.
She kind of looks black.
She kind of does a little bit, right? There you go. I'm just here to bang, and then bang, boom. Use code BANG50 at checkout. Help to unlock that bonus content. I'm just here to bang shirts. at forlibertyshop.com. Order them now so they'll make it there in time for the 4th of July, guys. But I think today is probably going to be your last chance. So go to forlibertyshop.com. During the live show today, you'll help to unlock that bonus content. We are only $35 away. And then once that's done, you get to watch that instead of the commercials. If somebody makes a generous donation during the commercial break while we go to get Justin Peterson, I will go ahead and switch to the bonus content. But for now, it's commercials. We'll be right back. Don't go away. We'll hear what Justin has to think about Zohran Mamdani when we get back.
I'm going to get Tea for Liberty.
Tea for Liberty from
the For Liberty Shop.
We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back, with sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian, and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence of the highest degree. Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit.
I'm pretty sure it's a violent crime. Good luck, New York. Rest in peace. You hear that? Robbery, not a violent crime, according to Zohran Mamdani. Just a little redistribution, he'll call it, with flair, right? Who knew that armed thugs were just unlicensed tax collectors? Good morning, Rise of Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show. That's on the For Liberty Network on Fridays. Happy Friday. We have fun with Freedom Family.
Hello.
Steffi P for Liberty joining us. Everybody say hi, Steffi. Hi, Steffi.
Hi.
She's mine. Back off. My brother Justin Peterson is joining us live too, all the way from Boston, near Harvard Yard, from Watertown. Good morning, JP.
Hello from Boston, the cradle of liberty.
He's the one guy you'd want next to you in a fight, whether it's political or literal. Justin J. Peterson. Justin, tell me you got something stronger than chamomile tea in hand right now, because this is going to be a wild ride.
No, I had vodka last night, so I'm good.
He's dried out. Stephanie's trying to hydrate. We're all just having a blast. Don't forget to join us again tonight at 8 p.m. Central. We're going to have a lot of fun on the Freedom Arcade right here at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. Justin, Zohran Mamdani, robbery, not a violent crime. Your response?
You know what it makes me think of? It's like, you know how when the BLM riots, there would be or even in the LA riots, remember in 1992 when like they just completely destroyed so many of these black-owned businesses, and these black owners were out in front of their businesses just like saying, please don't rob my store, please don't rob my store, please let me have my business. You know, the thing that these you know, like these ideas about robbery, these affect those people. These affect people that are in those situations where they want to have access to their property and their rights. And if they order something on Amazon, these, you know, it's like they don't have tons of money to be like, well, I can just like, you know, get something else. It's crazy to me that these people vote for things that destroy them. I mean, it reminds me of that Mencken quote, which says, you know, democracy is the theory that the common people know what they want and they deserve to get it good and hard. You know, but it makes me think of, you know, the downstream effects of all of this is like, okay, you people in sort of disenfranchised neighborhoods, you're just going to have to put up with the fact that robbery is just going to be a part of your life. Like, that's just going to be a part of your life. It's dystopian. It's really dystopian.
It's like in San Francisco, where they let people steal a certain amount of stuff before they actually convict them.
Zohran Mamdani, who was born in Uganda, he became a U.S. citizen in 2018, called for defunding the police in 2020, and he's going to protect his Muslim neighbors from getting deported by the fascist president. Here is Zohran Mamdani, a little clip of his speech after he won his primary. Take a listen.
We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism, to stop mass ICE agents from deporting our neighbors, and to govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party.
Justin, I'm not sure about you, and maybe there's just something, it's just innate or biological, but I'm deeply uncomfortable with the idea that people can move here and in less than 7 years be given the keys to the kingdom, to the crown jewel of our country. It's something about it feels deeply wrong. Your thoughts?
I mean, I do think especially when you think about the fact that China and Russia are so involved in the disinformation of our media and what's going on, and the fact that we can't get the truth of what's happening in the world. It's sort of a Manchurian Candidate situation, right? Where it's like installing somebody who's there. The thing that struck me is that so many of the people that voted for him were, like you were saying, college-educated people. People of color and largely did not vote for him. They voted for Cuomo, and most of the young people who voted for him don't remember, they weren't born before 9/11. Like they didn't live through 9/11 to know what that was like. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, could this guy handle a 9/11 size event in New York City? Could he do? I mean, that's the thing.
They welcome the terrorists to come live in New York City.
I mean, the day after the October 7th attacks, he didn't condemn them. This is a guy who's for globalizing the Intifada.
That's right.
I mean, I wouldn't accuse him necessarily of being an Islamist himself, because he's far too homosexual friendly for things like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he is the white female liberal ideal candidate. He is the candidate that the white female liberals who are affluent, who did vote for him, can get their white guilt out. When they vote for someone like a Zohran Mamdani, all of the guilt that they felt their whole lives for living off daddy's the fruits of daddy's capitalist labors, they get their rocks off, if you will, on voting for someone like this.
Well, Austin, it's an expiation. I mean, people want to be divested of their sins. Right, people. If you feel that you are colonialist, that is what people feel is an original sin. Right, that's like the original sin of America is colonialism. And if you feel that is your original sin, you're still going to be religious, because you're going to want to expiate that sin. You want an absolution for that sin. You want to be absolved of the sin. So the best way to feel absolved is to act out in ways like this, to do these kinds of things. Right, but like you and I both know, and you're not responsible for the sins of your father. We don't do that in a legal liberal system. It's like you're guilty for your sins and I'm guilty for my sins, and never the twain shall meet. But no, I think, I agree with what you're saying, for sure.
Here is his take on grocery stores. Take a listen.
Grocery prices are out of control. The cost of eggs and milk has skyrocketed. Some stores are even using dynamic pricing, jacking up the cost over the course of a day depending on what they can get away with. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zohran Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option for produce. We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive or having to pay property taxes or rent, and will pass on those savings to you.
Justin, what's going to happen if you own a grocery store and the government grocery store next to you pays no taxes and no rent? What's going to happen to your grocery store?
Bye bye grocery store.
Bye
But,
bye.
but let's all can I rant on this for a second?
Go rant.
Let's talk about the fact that New York did not come down on crime. Okay, New York has not come down on crime for a very long time, and so what ends up happening is that these businesses, these grocery stores, go out of business because they can't afford the insurance on these places because they're getting robbed so many times. These grocery stores are getting robbed a lot. And so then what happens is that the vendors can't afford to keep the insurance on the spaces anymore. So then what happens to the grocery stores? They shut down. So all of the dystopia, it's like, we're going to run some shitty democratic policies. Then we're going to see the effects of those shitty democratic policies. And we're going to go, oh, you know, we need to solve those problems from the shitty democratic policies. We need more democratic policies to solve those stupid problems that we created. So it's like this snake eating its own tail forever and ever and ever. They can't see that the grocery stores are disenfranchised because they will not come down on crime. They will not come down and persecute. They'll let people come into grocery stores and just walk out with handfuls of stuff. And then over time, that does have a deleterious effect on grocery stores because they can't afford to keep the insurance because they have to replace the stock that's getting stolen. Loss prevention is something that most stores have. Like you go to a retail store, a Target, there's a loss prevention office there, people that are actively looking and making sure that people are not stealing things. When you own your own business in New York City, you have a private grocery store. Who's going to do that? You're the one guy minding the store. You're going to be the enforcer of theft. That guy could have a gun. That guy could have a knife. I mean, they don't see that the crime that they won't come down on is the direct reason why these prices in groceries are so bad in New York City and why you have food deserts and people can't find food because the grocery stores closed down because they can't afford the insurance. I mean, how do I know this and I don't even live there? How do I know this? Like, what is wrong with this city?
I do wonder the variety that will be at these stores. Will they have organic? Will they have lots of different brands?
Probably in the beginning. They'll probably start with like good, high quality stuff. And then once they realize that they can make more money by having shit products that they can skim off the top, the government employees are going to skim off the top. That is that's when the quality will go down quickly.
Well, and just wait until the 13th of the month when the public grocery store tells you, oh, sorry, sir, you've hit your bread quota for the month. You can't have any more bread for the rest of the month. You have to wait until next month to get bread, or you have to wait till next month to get chicken. Sorry, sir, we're all out of chicken. You can't have any right now. Like, that's literally what government grocery stores would look like. Like, you'd get rain checks for everything. It'd be like, well, I'm sorry, or you'd hit a quota and be like, I'm sorry, we have to control the pricing on this, which is exactly what socialism is. Master planning of things. It does not let the free market work. It has to control everything. And as we know, because we're well read, you cannot control those forces. Those are hyper flexible forces that don't work by systematic and local control. The free market works best when it's left alone. So it's going to be hilarious when there's lines around the block for these grocery stores because they don't have anything or they're out of supplies. I mean, didn't you see the clip where he went around to all the falafel shops and the what do they call those? The food trucks? Yeah. And like he was talking about the licensings and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And it was like he had a libertarian moment. I saw this on the Liberty Tonight show last night. Yes. This is what I was thinking, made me think of it.
Yay, Liberty Tonight.
Because I was watching it. But he was like, this guy was like, I can't say his name, but Zohran Mamdani. Yeah, Mamdani. He was like, wow, I can't believe like your prices are so expensive because of all of the government interference that was going on with these food trucks. Yeah. And it's like, you're almost there, brother.
Accidentally libertarian.
You almost see that the government interference in this stuff is what makes it worse, not better.
Let's hear what he has to say about capitalism.
So when people say democratic socialist, right? And I'm curious what you think this means. I mean, do you like capitalism?
No, I have many critiques of capitalism. And I think ultimately the definition for me of why I call myself a democratic socialist is the words of Dr. King decades ago. He said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And that's what I'm focused on is dignity and taking on income inequality. And for too long, politicians have pretended that we're spectators to that crisis of affordability. We're actually actors, and we have the choice to exacerbate it, like Mayor Adams has done, or to respond to it and resolve it, like I'm planning to do.
So when people say...
Your take, Just.
How much does this suit cost?
Oh, probably
I know,
a lot
right?
How much do his
parents
shoes
are
cost?
wealthy. Do you know his parents? His father is a professor at Columbia and teaches post-colonial studies, and his mother is an Oscar-nominated filmmaker.
Yeah, I refuse to be lectured to by people that are sitting there telling me how bad capitalism is while they're sitting in a $2,000 or $3,000 suit, right, wearing $500 or $600 shoes. Like,
tell us how your mother has benefited from capitalism.
Exactly. Like it's like I'm standing on a plank and I'm gonna saw off the plank while I'm standing on it. I'm like, everything you enjoy, and this is the thing these stupid champagne socialists always go on about. They don't understand. Like, they'll be fine because they have resources and they have access to money
and power.
Like, they won't have to stand in the bread line because they'll have a guy working in the back room to figure out, oh, my wife wants to make sure she's got bread for her, dessert tonight that we're going to have. So these people will never. It's like living in the gated communities. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, we'll just solve the problem of violence by living in a gated community with security guards. It's like they want to make these policies that affect the middle class and the lower income strata, and they don't care. They'll always have access to their $2,000 suits. And did you see his wife?
Yeah.
On her Instagram?
Yes.
That is literally like a worship of capitalism. Everything in that entire like scroll that you just did of her profile is like the absolute worship of capitalism.
Yes.
Like
right.
nice boots, nice dresses, nice clothes, nice outfits, nice apartments, right? Look at her beautifully furnished locales that she's in. All brought to you by capitalism.
Maybe she goes to the thrift shop and she buys all her clothes.
No, those clothes were way. You can tell when something has never been worn before. It's the first time it's been worn with like. Those threads have never been touched.
Not. You know why? Skin. And you know also why, Steffi? Because she wants to compete with other women in New York society.
Yeah.
She wants to be at the top of the hierarchy of the high class people in New York City, the Park Avenue set, who want to show themselves as living a lavish lifestyle while the rest of the people suffer beneath them. So, she would never buy anything cheap. She would probably always buy expensive things.
Speaking about the people beneath them, what I love, Justin, is whenever they will pretend to be like the people beneath them. Take a listen to some actual real reporting from NBC on his myriad accents.
Because I think that New Yorkers, more than they hate a politician they disagree with, they hate a politician they can't trust.
On the subject of trust, you've adopted different speaking accents in different scenarios.
But they go to their local bodega.
Is there one that's real and one that's affected?
What I would say is, as any immigrant knows, having been born in Kampala, Uganda, and then raised in South Africa and moving here when I'm 7 years old, is there are different parts of my life. Worldwide tour is a worldwide tour is a worldwide tour.
Mamdani was talking about a worldwide press tour back when he was a rapper.
Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice, flavor to the rice.
In a Disney movie directed by his mother.
Nepotism and hard work goes a long way. Here in New York City,
nepotism and hard work goes a long way, Justin. White rice, hot sauce, white sauce.
What's hilarious to me is that the left hates Nepo babies. The far left, they hate that. They hate all those Nepo babies. They hate them. Like any celebrity children in Hollywood or any people like that, they're like, oh, the resentment. I mean, but that's always at the heart of that project. Is resentment. You have to hate someone else and want their stuff. Basically, it's the whole philosophy behind this worldview. The code switching, he tried to make a code switching argument. Are you familiar with that idea of code switching? Code switching is where basically you will change how you speak depending on the audience or that you're around. So,
like Kamala.
And gay men do this too. Where gay guys will be like, it may be at work, and they'll be like, yes, sir, I'll have that fax for you at 5 o'clock. And then they go to the gay bar, they're like, oh, girl, did you see him? I cannot believe it. They will totally code switch for wherever it is that they are.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know if he's code switching or if he's just doing the politician game. It's Hillary Clinton did that. Barack Obama did that. I remember when Hillary Clinton said, I was in no way tired. And I was like, oh my God.
Brings my hot sauce in my purse.
Well, if he just moved here 7 years ago, he probably did have an accent. And I would imagine he's gone to a speech person to help him speak more American, you'd think. Unless his parents have no accent.
I mean, I'm sure that he probably learned how to speak properly because he came here when he was 7 years old. But he wants to gain the support of these communities.
Oh, so he didn't just come here 7 years ago?
No, he only became an American citizen 7 years ago.
I gotcha.
He only became an American citizen 7 years ago, and he allegedly lied on his form, on his immigration form, which asks if you hold any anti-American ideologies, which I would claim, being a socialist or a communist, absolutely is one of those ideologies. So,
yes,
would you agree, Justin?
My feeling at this point is this: we need to have some kind of societal agreement or legislation. Here's law, not a law, but we need to see communism as a religion, and it needs to be protected by the First Amendment, but that also means that we need to be protected from it by the First Amendment. In other words, you can have your communist beliefs, you can think whatever you want, but you are not allowed to push those communist beliefs off on other people. Because communism is a kind of a religion, because it has an idea about how the world should be. It's a utopian vision of the future, right? It's an idea about the perfection of man, which in its source is sort of quasi-religious, right? It has a religious connotation to it. So my feeling is that communism needs to be listed as a religion, and it needs to have protections of that we would have for any other religion, but that means also that it cannot encroach itself into other people's lives. It's not allowed to go into other people's lives and say, well, you have to live according to my religion, you have to live according to my political beliefs. I'm not a fan of communism personally, and because I don't think people don't think much about this, but it's not exactly friendly to gay people or marginalized people. The thing about
Che Guevara was all about killing the gays.
Yeah, and the thing about revolutions is that everybody you see right now that out in the streets, right? Everybody you see marching, everybody you see going, yeah. Those are the first people killed in the revolution. Because what they do is they get rid of those people are the useful idiots who go out and they push for the revolution. And then the bulldozer of the revolution comes and they are the first people wiped out because they are too chaotic. They are too unstable as a factor of a political cadre of people. They're too chaotic. And for the revolution to go to the next level, those people cannot continue to live. They have to be exterminated. So what happens is all of those frontline people that we see on campuses, we see them all over and carrying the protests and going, free queers for Palestine. Those are the first people that are going to be lined up on the wall. They're the first ones to go because they have served their purpose. They have served their purpose for the revolution, and once their purpose is completed, they serve no other purpose, and they must be exterminated.
I think that this next clip that I'm going to play, where he talks about his democratic socialist beliefs, is a bolster to your point about it being a religion. Take a listen to this.
For me, when you ask what does it mean to be a democratic socialist, for me it means to be fighting for a society in which dignity is guaranteed to each and every member of this place. And I believe that the state should play a critical role in the distribution of that dignity and the ensuring that that dignity is actually received. This is one case where Republicans would be correct. There are taxes that I want to raise. They would like to portray this as me trying to raise taxes on someone making 50, 60, 70K, which is not the case. What we need to do is raise taxes on those who have more than enough and share a little bit more with the rest of the society. There's nothing hidden from plain view about who I am and what I want to fight for. I'm not secretly telling everyone I'm a socialist now. This is something we built the campaign.
They built the campaign around. So the state must guarantee dignity to everyone.
Impossible. Absolutely impossible. That's an impossible thing to do. I think that's a religious claim. That is a religious claim. You cannot do that. That's a moral quality. The government cannot enforce well, they can. Of course they can at the end of a gun. They can do that at the end of a gun. But not in a free liberal society. You can't do that. And this is why I am vehemently against now the Democrats, because the Democrats have been hollowed out by the communists and the socialists. They're no longer liberals in the Democratic Party. They're gone. They're no longer there. They're shells of liberals there. Everything that's in the DNC right now is all communists and socialists. And people don't even see it. People that are still Democrats are like, oh, they think they're operating in the old operating system. That's not liberalism anymore. That's been gone for a while, kids.
Justin's been getting tempted on going on those Republican log cabin Republican cruises.
That's right. That's right. Because today they're probably centrist cruises.
Yeah.
They're not even like on the right anymore. They're probably people like Ariel Scarcella. If anybody's in that social media world knows that, she was a lesbian who got, just roasted by the woke people, and she just left the left, and she's very active, so she's going to be on that cruise. But yeah, no,
she's going to be on the cruise.
Yeah, she'll be on
you should go.
So
Justin.
there's a cruise for Republicans?
For gay Republicans.
Gay Republicans.
Yeah, gay Republicans.
Yes. They're all going to dress nice, and they're all going to smell good, and they're all going to have cologne on.
Yeah.
And they'll probably go to the
And you know what? Some of them might own some of their own boats. They might be rich, Justin.
And they might own their own houses. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the power gays.
The power gays, dude.
Where does this
gays.
Where does this cruise go to?
It's probably one of the classic, Bermuda.
You mean you haven't
Bahamas.
researched it yet?
It's probably the Bahamas,
Yeah.
and the gay Republican log cabin Republican cruise.
Speaking of gays, that dude that you played earlier, that was a congressman or senator?
Yeah.
Who was that guy?
With the gay
Dude,
lover.
that guy spoke and Judy Garland's purse fell out of that guy's mouth. That guy scoped deep in the closet. He's finding Christmas presents.
He was wearing the ruby slippers.
But again, what kills me is he was offended. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought y'all were so pro-LGBT. So if someone casts aspersions against you that you're a gay person and you're offended by that, you're basically saying there's something wrong with being gay, right? That you're offended by the fact that, you're you should be like, oh, I'm not gay, but thanks for asking, because if I've learned anything in my life, and I've only been on this planet for 48 years, but if I've learned anything, the more virulently homophobic somebody is, the more likely it is that they like the sausage.
Right. They hate that which is them.
That's right.
Here's Zohran Mamdani on gender-affirming care.
And one of the things that we've said, beyond saying we're going to make a sanctuary city for LGBTQIA plus workers, beyond saying that we're going to...
They're going to make it a sanctuary city for LGBTQIA plus workers, and they're going to establish an office of LGBTQIA plus affairs. It's kind of hard to hear.
Is also that we're going to provide $65 million in funding for gender-affirming care, the same amount of funding that the federal government is threatening to pull out from local providers for that kind of work. And in this moment especially, if we want to fight the Trump administration, we have to do so by fully funding our own services, taxing the wealthiest New Yorkers and corporations here.
There you go, $65 million for taxpayer-funded sex changes and LGBTQIA plus official government offices.
Crazy.
Is he
what's funny to me is
in
that
theory.
It's funny to me because the thing with the trans thing with the funding is that if they would the activists would say, you know what, we want to classify gender dysphoria as a mental disorder, as a mental illness, then corrective surgery for that or any kind of the drugs or anything would be covered because it's a health problem that would be okay. But because they don't want it coded as a mental disorder, they don't want it on the books to say no, being trans is a mental disorder. They then have no recourse to get money for their surgeries. So then what do they have to do? They have to pass that on to the taxpayer and say, well, now the taxpayer is going to pay for the surgery. Whereas if they would list it as a mental disorder, then it would be covered by the insurance companies. But see, they don't want it covered as to say that it's a mental illness. So they've kind of hoisted themselves on their own petard, So now we're on the lam for the fact that they can't list it as a mental illness, which I'm like, if it's covered, isn't that what you want? So it's like, okay, well, to get your coverage, we have to list this as a mental illness, that you have a mental, there's something wrong. But they don't want that because they don't want the stigma of mental disorder. They don't want to see it as a mental disorder. I'm like, well, you guys just sort of want everything, don't you? You just want to have your cake and eat it too.
I just looked up. He's a Shia Muslim.
Oh.
I don't know what a Shia Muslim
There's
is.
Shia and there's Sunni.
Oh, okay.
It's the difference between Shia and Sunni is that one of those two believes that Muhammad's son is the legitimate heir to Muhammad's legacy, and the other believes that and they're more meritocratic. And I believe that the meritocratic Muslims are actually the majority. It's like 70-30 in terms of population, Shia versus Sunni. And double check me on this, Steffi, but I believe the Sunni Muslims are the minority and Shia are the majority. And I could be flipped on that, but they believe the other ones, the majority of them believe that the hierarchy of the followings of the teachings of Muhammad were handed down through merit, and his highest and best teachers were the legitimate heirs of the prophet. Is that fairly correct?
So Shia comprises around 10% of the world's Muslims, and Sunnis are 90%.
Yeah, it's like a massive change. So 90-10.
And who's stricter? Sunnis have been described as more traditional in their practices, while the Shiites' strict religious hierarchy is seen as more extreme.
Okay.
So he's more extreme, apparently.
So there's another reason to be cautious about Islamists because of the massive number of extremist Muslims. I think Sam Harris did a study on this when it talked about extreme beliefs when it came to Muslims. And it's like, it's not a minority of Muslims that have extreme beliefs against Western values. It is a strong majority.
Austin, Tripoli, okay? 1801, Thomas Jefferson, when these Islam pirates would attack American ships, the colonies were trying to figure out, why are they attacking us? We have no charge against them. We have never done anything against these people. And the Muslims said, well, you will not bow to Muhammad, so you are our enemy.
Right.
This is in 1801.
Well, that's kind of why I've been sort of butting heads with libertarians recently, Justin, because there's this, Glenn Greenwald's been kind of pissing me off. And he said,
because of his sex tape?
Well, that was disgusting, and I wish that I didn't have to see it in my feed when it scrolled by. But he says that it's a neocon lie that they hate us for our freedoms, and this is very popular with libertarians and with leftists. Now, when I got into the libertarian movement, Justin, it was because I heard Ron Paul say that. I heard Ron Paul say that they don't attack us because of our freedoms. They don't attack us because we're rich or free. They attack us because we're over there bombing them. At first, I believed that. I no longer believe that.
No, I don't believe that at all.
I don't believe that. I now think that that's actually wrong. I think it's actually dangerously wrong. And it's wrong for a couple of reasons. One, the one that you just noted, which was that the Mohammedan pirates of the Barbary Coast absolutely said that the reason why they did it is because they see us as kuffar, as Muslims.
That's right.
Which is, the N-word for Muslims talking about non-believers. And even in the papers that, Ron Paul says, go out and read the reasons why they attacked us. So I read why Osama bin Laden stated that he attacked us. And the number one reason was because we will not convert to Islam. The number one calling for the attacks, the 9/11 attacks, was to call to Islam. And then down the line, it was that we have bases in their country. And then other things were that we wouldn't sign on to the Kyoto Climate Protocol. In other words, they attacked us because of climate change. So they do actually hate us for our freedoms, Justin.
They absolutely
Discuss.
Meanwhile, cut to Osama bin Laden's apartment where he has all of this porn. Do you remember that part of the story where he had all of this pornography in his apartment?
What kind?
It was weird stuff, wasn't it? It was like, didn't he have like midget porn and things like that on there?
He was into some weird stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you too, in that manifesto he published, the gays didn't exactly get off nice either in that manifesto. He saw being gay as one of the signs of the decadence of our society.
He mentioned specifically homosexuality.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Thanks to Nomad Johnny and Andy Opperman and Nelson65, we have unlocked the bonus content, so that will be coming.
Wow, I just wrote in the chat. I was like, send in your rants. Apparently that worked. Wow.
But Justin, I've got no end of hell from my fellow libertarians on this foreign policy issue because they're just wrong that they don't hate us for our freedoms, that they wouldn't try and kill us for our freedoms. If we didn't have a single base anywhere in the world, but we were still the world's superpower and a secular, constitutional, democratic republic, they would still try and kill us. They would still attack us. They would still try and murder us because that is what their religion calls them to.
World conversion. That's what they want, is world conversion. It's like when you realize what the Mormons believe or the Jehovah's Witnesses believe. It's like there was this big secret about what do they believe? And then when you finally say, this is what they believe, and then you say, do you really believe X, Y, and Z, Mr. Mormon? And they go, yes, I do. And then I'm like, oh, okay, good. Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. It's the same thing with Islam. It's like, do you really believe that the entire world should bow to Muhammad? Yes, we do. Well, there's thank you for telling me that. So now we know. So, you know, this
but there's
is
a
antithetical
naivete of Americans.
Yep.
They don't feel the fear. I mean, 9/11 was so huge because Americans being attacked on their own soil, having our own people killed. For the first time, we saw something that was happening up close and in person that happened, you know, live and on streaming cameras
in front of us,
right in front of us. But it was a call. It was a call to action, and a call for people to wake up to not the American imperialism, but the lack of it in many ways. Right. The lack of the American empire to be able to protect its own citizens, and of a lack of knowledge and understanding of the factions of people that are devoted to destroying who we are and what we stand for and murdering us for existing, for being who we are.
Oh yes, and then being able to say, I'm gonna. Not only am I going to kill you, but I have so much belief in my cause that I'm going to kill myself while I kill you, right? Like the suicide bombings, where it's just like I'm going to make myself into the actual, you know, source of your death, which is wild when you think about it. I mean, they did that during World War II. You know, they had the kamikaze pilots, you know, who would just come out of the sky, you know. So I mean, that's a kind of fanaticism that that is so. Well, you know, like Sam Harris says, you know, part of the new atheist movement really sprung up from 9/11, you know, because I think people were just kind of tired of religion. And then what if
I'm going to go pee for Liberty.
Affleck,
I'll be right back.
Go, Steffi, go.
I've been drinking so much.
AP for Liberty.
Go.
And then you remember, like, you know, was it Ben Affleck was on, who was that stupid celebrity that was on Bill Maher with Sam Harris?
It was Ben Affleck.
And he was like accusing Sam Harris of being Islamophobic. And I'm like, well, that's perfectly where we are today. You know, and it's like, you should, these moral relativists, you should be able to criticize societies that don't lead to human flourishing.
Yes.
Come on, you know. But you know, the thing that gets me with this New York guy is, I'm so sorry, I can't remember his name. I should write it down. Is that like when he would have Muslim events in New York City for his campaign, no Jews were allowed.
What?
In other words, no Jews could come into those meetings. They were not allowed to come into those meetings at all. Like they were absolutely forbidden to come in. So, you know, your constituency is like, people in a free country should be able to go to anything they want to go to, but he would forbid them to go. So the Jewish people in New York City could not go. And almost all of my friends that are in New York that are Jewish, like you were saying earlier, they're not happy at all about this.
Yes, and I completely understand. I totally understand why, and I get why so many of them are threatening to move to Florida, and I understand why they would want to do so. But my problem with the Jewish Democrats who leave because of Zohran Mamdani's anti-Semitism is that they go to Florida and they vote Democrat, yes, and they make the red states worse because they come out and they vote Democrat in those states. They don't learn their lessons. Isn't that a problem?
It is a problem because the reason that they leave is because well, again, it's like I was saying, Austin, about these snakes eating their tail, right? It's like it's like, what's your breaking point? You know, what's like, I call it your woke breaking point. It's like, what is the point where you just finally say the left has gone too far and I can't live under these circumstances? But when you don't realign your political views and you just take your political views with you wherever you go, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like a stranger in a strange land in so many ways, like really just politically homeless. Because, you know, I've always kind of considered myself to be a libertarian, but I don't think that it fully encapsulates who I am. And you know who I really love? Thank God for. I don't know if you paid any attention to Javier Milei, but God damn, has he been freaking on point lately.
Well, did I see something today about income has increased like 18% in his country?
Yeah. Like, win
crazy.
After win, inflation down, income increased, available rental properties increased, poverty down, unbelievable success, victory after victory after victory. And here's the thing. He's not like taking an economic formula and applying it to rent controls or prices. He's not doing anything fancy. He's just shutting down government institutions, shutting down government regulations, cutting government spending, firing government employees. In other words, all he's literally doing is just getting government out of the way, and the economy is recovering. Isn't it? It's unbelievable.
Right. Well, that's the proof of a theory, is that it's, in its downstream effect. It's like the proof of the recipe is in the eating, right? It's like, well, there's the food, and there it is. It's like, well, if the positive benefit is happening, there it is. I mean, I know at the beginning of it, you were very concerned because, it was like the first libertarian sort of prestigious person in a position of power. And at the beginning, it's like, oh, Lord, let's see how it goes, But so far, I think you've been pretty happy with what's been going on down there. So it's encouraging to see.
And here's the thing: the thing about Javier Milei that really sticks out to me is his realist foreign policy. And as many libertarians and like leftists and others have sort of started to distance themselves from Israel, because Israel, of course, is being in bed with the United States, and some of them, of course, just hate Israel for the J question. But Javier Milei, friend to Israel, friend to the United States, sees defending them as defending liberty itself and defending Western values. That is rare. That is not how American libertarians sound. American libertarians are much closer to globalize the intifada, Zohran Mamdani on foreign policy. They're much closer to Howard Zinn. They're much closer to Oliver Stone than they are to Javier Milei. Frankly, I agree. I agree with Javier Milei that defending the United States and defending Israel is defending liberalism. It's defending the West and our values against barbarians and terrorists and communists and socialists. And I don't understand why they don't see it the same way.
No, because, these people don't read, and they also don't have a long range of the view of history, how history works out. It's always been this way. People have always had to battle to fight for the things that they believe in. We've just been under a completely unprecedented time in the history of our species to live this long in peace and to have really be free from want in a lot of ways, And I think that lack of deprivation is what's making everyone so crazy. Because we have everything we could ever want at the push of a button. We don't have to work for anything. We don't have to wash our clothes by hand. We don't have to, do the grueling things that people did even 100 or 150 years ago. And we're all discontent and we're all miserable because we have no focus and we have nothing to do. And boredom, Eric Hoffer in his book, The True Believer, says is one of the key indicators of people becoming fanatics and joining mass movements. Because they're bored. They have nothing in their life that's worth any meaning. And so they take up a cause. They take up a holy cause, whatever that is. Could be religion, could be social justice, anything like that. Could be wearing a pink hat. But I mean, they take up some kind of holy cause because their lives have no meaning. They have
need
no
more
meaning
hobbies.
in their lives.
I need to smoke meat.
Smoke meats and play video games.
But people who have a creative, Austin, like you, people like me and you and Steffi who have a creative outlet in our lives, we don't seek to tear the world apart because we're happy with our lives. And that's the worst thing you can be to a communist, because communism is only, it grows in the soil of resentment. It can only be the idea that someone else has something that you don't have, that you must have, and the only way you're going to get what they have is not through your own effort, but it's through stealing what they have through the force of the government and using the government to steal what they own. That is a complete worldview predicated on resentment, the resentment of other people's success.
Oh, we see it online all the time. People are so jealous of you, Austin. They're always trying to tear you down.
Every day.
Yeah.
But that's
and
been
still
my life.
I rise.
Yes, yet still I rise.
Yeah, they try to steal your memes.
Dude, they steal my thunder. They steal my memes. They talk shit every day. I've gotten used to it, right? You just have to have
but it's a
thick
poison.
skin.
I love to say my favorite quote about resentment is that resentment is like a poison because it's basically drinking it and thinking the other person's going to die, right? If I drink this poison, then this other person's going to die. No, you're going to die because the poison is going to poison you. And what gets me is that another one I love is Nietzsche, who says, if you stare too long into the abyss stares back into you, and you sort of will become the monster that you create, or that you fear. You will become that if you're not careful.
That's true. I try and be grateful for everything that I have.
That's the key. That's right.
Because I look back on my life at different stages and I say, would I rather be in this stage of my life? Would I rather be in that stage of my life? Even considering would I be resentful of where I am compared to then? I wouldn't trade where I am right now for any other phase of my life that I've had before, because I literally have the American dream. I have
So honestly, same. I'm good at my job. It's taken me years to be good at what I'm doing. I'm happy. My schedule's full. Things are good.
The only thing that I might be resentful for that I might like is just more money.
Right.
Well, I mean,
more vacations.
More vacations, more money. I want
lots of hoes.
But I need to pay my employee. All right, Justin. We're wrapping it up here.
Hey, what are we talking about? Jaws. I want to talk about Jaws.
Oh, Jaws. Yeah, that's right. Jaws. Okay, so it's a 40-year anniversary.
50,
I got to pull up that
50.
article I sent you because it was another lefty resentment article.
Oh, geez.
Well, I'm excited because Squid Game 3 is coming out today. I don't know if you watch it, Justin.
Was it 50?
What is it?
Have you heard of Squid Game 3?
Squid Game.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Just talking about different shows and things. Yeah.
Stephanie's obsessed with Squid Game.
No, they just had a big thing, the shindig this past week in Martha's Vineyard here in Massachusetts, because this is the 50th anniversary week of the release of Jaws from 1975.
Oh.
The first summer blockbuster.
Nice.
The first summer blockbuster.
Hold on, my freaking computer's freaking out. Okay, so is it 50 years, Justin, Jaws?
50 years ago.
I'm 50.
I'm 50.
Jesus, it just seems
I
like
to
it can't have
kick
gone
and
by that
stretch.
fast. 50 years, Justin?
Yep, in Edgartown, Massachusetts. Beautiful place,
I will never
too.
forget. I will never for the rest of my life forget the little tube TV in mom and dad's room, and Jaws comes on, and I'm watching it, and you are running out of the room every couple minutes.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
And then you'd come crawling, and I'd say, Justin, come back. I'm like, this is the good part, and you would run away.
No, run. That's right.
You would run.
Oh, I was so sensitive to stuff like that. I just couldn't do it. I'd run out of the room. I couldn't do it.
But yet you really like the movie?
Well, in time, you know what I mean? As a group, it's funny. It's
to
funny.
Like not be a scaredy cat.
Yes.
Well, but no, I did, because here's the funny thing, you guys. Now I have Tubi, which is like poor white trash Netflix, which is like my favorite thing. And like, I love it because basically it's like someone let me loose in the Blockbuster Video in 1987. And I get to watch all of those old VHS videos of the horror movies that I used to go to look at in the video store, because Mom would never in a million years let us rent a horror movie for
no, we had
watch.
to see it on like
Never.
Channel 62 on Saturdays or whatever.
Yes.
They would do the horror.
And everything
weekends.
was edited. Everything was super edited.
Yes.
So like any of the real stuff was edited out. So it was years like before I saw like the actual Jaws movie, in person. Or like all the way through, because like there's even a scene in the estuary where the shark attacks this guy in a boat, like, and his leg falls to the bottom of the estuary.
Yeah.
Like you just watch his leg just drop to the bottom of the. I'm like, holy crap, that wasn't in the TV version.
No,
so like there were all of these edited
it was not
versions.
on Channel 62 on Saturdays in Kansas City.
Not at all. But we grew up with Jaws was never. It was on TV in the daytime, which was good because then it's not as scary, I think. But we on Friday nights would have Friday Fright Night, and that was on CBS. That was on KCTV5 in Kansas City. And Dad loved that show because he would always tease me, about being scared. If anybody made me scared, you can just thank Dad.
Speaking of, I've got the pictures. Here's the picture of Justin and Austin. That's me from the back wearing our fishing hats, going out in the Stonegate sinker there. I don't know how old I was there. Maybe it looks like, 6 or 7, Steph, would you say?
Yeah, are you wearing patriotic socks?
I have some kind of like candy cane colored tube socks or something on. Here's Jody. She looks like she's like 10 years old. That's Grandpa Hans, my dad's dad.
On a cruise or something.
Yeah, some kind of boat. That may be the trip to Victoria. Yeah. Here's me, probably 6 or 7 years old with a big old giant crappie with Grandpa Hans. There's Papa. And then there's Justin right there. Look at him just with his hand on his chest like, oh. That's Justin right there. So a little bit of fun for Freedom Family Friday. What a wonderful day. This is my family. I'm Austin Peterson. That's Stephanie Peterson. That's Justin Peterson. We are the Fighting Peterson family.
Did you get the bonus content unlocked?
They did. They're getting ready to play it after you go.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they unlocked it, and we're so grateful for them for doing so, for supporting us financially, because the bonus content basically guarantees it will, when we unlock it every day, it basically guarantees it will be on air next month. As long as I do the finances right and everything works, and people buy stuff at forlibertyshop.com, then Freedom Family Friday just keeps going every Friday.
No, next week, it's going to be the 4th of July, so we're not going to be here.
No Freedom
next
Family Friday next Friday. So
yeah, we're going to be celebrating our Christmas in July.
Yeah,
it's Libertarian Christmas.
It is Libertarian Christmas.
Yes.
That's right. For patriotic American
We're
libertarians.
very devout 4th of July
So
goers.
we're going to Silver Dollar City, actually. So.
Oh, yay.
The Branson. And then you're coming to see us for Crystal Gale concert soon.
I am. I am going to see the country diva of all country divas. I got front row tickets. Dad was so nice. He was so nice to buy front row tickets to Crystal Gale. So I'll be seeing Crystal Gale in Jefferson
Your
City.
childhood sweetheart, man.
Oh, my childhood. This is a full circle. It's going to be a full circle moment for me. And I'm really, really, truly hoping that I can get a picture. And so I'm like at this place now where I'm like, okay, Justin, you have to stop eating and lose weight because in the next month you need to lose at least like 10 pounds before you get your picture taken with Crystal Gale.
There we go, JP.
Yeah.
We love you, brother. Hey, do you have anything you want to plug or share with our audience before we go?
I have a really good article actually coming out here at 10 o'clock Eastern time. It's called The War on Mastery. And it's really what I was kind of alluding to today is this idea that for singing, because that's what I do, when people don't really commit to a life of mastery, they're really able to be easily exploited and coerced into movements that are really dangerous. So just not really committing to a life of mastery in whatever it is that you're doing, whether that's your business or your music or your children or your relationships, it can make you really vulnerable to really dangerous and bad ideas. So it's good to have a passion and to pursue that because that's going to keep you safe from really bad actors.
That sounds like something to have a little more mainstream appeal, Justin. Where can people go to read that?
JustinPeterson.substack.com. My last name is Austin's name too, Petersen, and that's it.
Justin Peterson Substack. Go give it a read, like, subscribe, follow JP, and be grateful that he graces us with his time because it's very valuable.
Yes,
very valuable.
It's volatile too.
Valuable and volatile. Justin, we love you, brother. We'll see you again not next Friday, but
I'll
the
see you in
Friday
2
after.
weeks.
2 weeks.
All right.
Love you, bud.
Talk to you later. Bye.
That was a great show. What did you think, Steffi?
Yay.
We
did it. Well, Justin told me I do not have laryngitis because if I had laryngitis, I would not be able to talk at all. So thank the heavens I do not have laryngitis. It's just a hoarse voice.
Thank you to our audience for hanging out with us today on the Freedom Family Friday. They should join us tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time, tonight at the Rumble channel that you're watching us on right now, rumble.com/AP for Liberty. Tonight, we're going to do it a little different. We're going to have a Discord server, so everybody who wants to hang out and talk and join the party will be able to talk with us live during the show like we did 2 weeks ago. It was awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to be playing Call of Duty Warzone. If you want to squad up with us and play quads and be a member of the team, you can absolutely do that as well. You're going to be able to play with us. And then after Call of Duty is over, then we're going to play Jackbox Party Games as we have been. It's the last time we did it 2 weeks ago, Stephanie, we had an absolute freaking blast.
We did. It really makes it better when all of you can participate and talk to us in real time, not just from the chat, but your voice.
There you go, because you guys can fill in your voice in absence of the loss of Stephanie's voice. Love you guys. We'll see you tonight, and have a good one, and we'll talk to you guys later on the Freedom Arcade. Exit through the Grift Shop at forlibertyshop.com. That's right that way at forlibertyshop.com. Exit through the Grift Shop. Get yourself some sweet deals, and we'll see you guys tonight on the Wake Up America show, the For Liberty Network.
Be free. You got to play the bonus.
I'm playing it now.
You ever notice how everything politicians touch turns to garbage? Now they've got their sights on sports. Because apparently the real national emergency isn't inflation, the border, or crime. It's that Chad can't watch the Super Bowl for free. Let's start with this. They want to force certain important games to air on free TV. Sounds nice until you ask, who decides what's important? The Super Bowl? Sure. But what about March Madness, the World Series, the Puppy Bowl? Suddenly, every decision about sports broadcasting becomes a political fight. One side demands more rodeo, the other pushes for women's soccer, and next thing you know, Congress is holding hearings on why you couldn't watch your local baseball team without a cable login. And here's the kicker. These lawmakers want to use antitrust threats to make leagues comply. We'll take away your special privileges unless you give us what we want. That's not consumer protection. That's extortion in a blazer. Then there's the whining about streaming services. It costs too much to watch all my teams. Okay, so don't. No one's forcing you to subscribe to 6 platforms to watch regular season ping pong in 4K. The market didn't fail you. You just don't want to choose. But politicians see an opportunity, more regulation, more control. They say they want to help the fans, but what they really want is to stick their hands into a multi-billion-dollar industry and pull the strings. And don't even get me started on sports gambling. Since betting became legal in most states, the usual suspects are lining up to ruin the fun. Think of the children, they cry, as they draft legislation to ban ads, restrict wagers, and limit what you can legally bet on. Because a few idiots can't handle themselves, they want to punish everyone. One proposal even bans prop bets, those fun wagers on player stats or game moments, because someone might send a mean tweet to a quarterback. Here's a wild thought. Punish the person making threats, not the 99% of fans who just want to put $20 on who scores first. What happens when you ban these bets? You don't stop gambling. You push it underground. You drive people back to illegal bookies with zero oversight. The legal market, with all its safeguards, gets crushed. You want integrity in sports? Keep it above board, in the light, where fraud gets caught. Don't drive it into the shadows because some senator thinks you shouldn't bet on corner kicks. And then there's the brain-melting idea of tax-based salary caps. Apparently because some teams are in high-tax states and others are in places with no state income tax, that's now a competitive imbalance that needs fixing. So what's the solution? Adjust salary caps based on local tax rates. In other words, penalize teams in low-tax states for having better economic policy. Let that sink in. Instead of letting states compete, we're going to rig the game so high-tax states don't lose their players. This is central planning in a Jersey. If your state's tax policy is driving away talent, the answer isn't to punish Florida or Texas. It's to fix your own house. Let the teams manage their own payroll. That's what collective bargaining and free markets are for, not Congress. And finally, the anthem mandates. Some states have passed laws forcing teams to play the national anthem. If they don't, they risk losing public funding or stadium deals. Now look, I love the anthem. But if you have to force someone to play it, it's not patriotism, it's performance. You can't legislate loyalty. The moment you do, you turn a unifying tradition into a political weapon. And when governors start yanking funding from teams over social media posts, you know the chill is real. What team is going to speak out on anything controversial when they know the state could pull their money the next day? We're not just talking about money. We're talking about free expression, about economic freedom, about whether sports stay a space for voluntary community or become another puppet stage for politicians. Sports are one of the few places where people from all walks of life still come together. And that's exactly why politicians want in, because they can't stand not being the center of attention. But if we let them, they'll ruin it. They'll turn every game into a battleground for their latest culture war. They'll gut the entertainment value, throttle the business model, and strip away every ounce of spontaneity in the name of fairness or safety or equity. So here's the final whistle. Keep the politicians off the field. Let the players play. Let the fans cheer. Let the games be games, not government-run morality plays, because once politics owns the playbook, everyone loses. When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com.